Can I complete a challenge that has never been done before in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe history? Ever since I started my channel a few months back, I aim to create something unique within the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe community. However, my lack of skill at the game meant that finding an incredibly challenging shortcut or placing myself on the leaderboards of a world record time trial felt nearly impossible, at least for now. But while I may not be the most skilled Mario Kart YouTuber, there is something I've always been extremely good at, and that's being persistent. I was never the fastest, strongest, tallest, or most skilled person in any particular aspect in most of my life, but what helped me find success was my ability to keep pushing and never give up, no matter how grueling the task had become. Luckily for me, that persistence has led me to a perfect yet nearly impossible challenge in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Although being skilled at the game is very important for this challenge, it holds nowhere near as much weight as the ability to continue to push forward. That's why I, Eskyyt, bring you the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Online Marathon Challenge, getting 5,000 VR in just 10 days. If you aren't familiar with Mario Kart Online, I'll take a moment to emphasize the difficulty of this challenge by explaining what VR is. VR, which stands for Versus Rating, is a slightly flawed rating system on Mario Kart 8 Online that shows you how skilled you are at the game. You begin your first online race at 1000 and can go all the way up to 99,999 before you've hit the game's limit. Now that I've told you how high the VR ratings can go, you might be thinking that what I'm trying to do is unimpressive. But let me just tell you, one player must spend years of their life grinding this game to reach that monumental achievement. This is because of how the game dishes out VR to a player after each race. Unless I'm mistaken, the maximum amount of VR you can earn for a first place race is only around 30, and that is if you win in a lobby filled with players better than you. Usually you'll get somewhere around 22 to 25 VR each first place race, with the reward dropping around 5 to 6 points for every lower placement you get. This means that in the best case scenario, to get 500 VR in one day, you would need to get 20 first place races in a row. Ignoring that achieving this feat is virtually impossible in Mario Kart, each online race takes about 5 minutes to get started and complete anyway. So it would still take over 2 hours of gameplay even if I played perfectly. And here's what makes this challenge even more brutal. Around 6th or 7th place, you will break even with 0 VR for that race. And after that, you will begin to lose VR in the same increments, meaning that a last place race would lose you over 30 VR, and trust me, I will be getting that plenty of times throughout this challenge. No YouTuber I have watched over the years, not even Shortcat or Troy, have attempted this challenge, and for good reason. It means spending upwards of 5 hours a day sitting in a chair getting extremely mad at the developers of Nintendo for the game they've created, but I might just be crazy enough to want to do it, so come join me. I began day 1 of the challenge at 13,800 VR, which I obtained over nearly 5 years of playing Mario Kart off and on. This means my goal was to reach 18,800 in just 0.5% of the time it took me to get to the starting point of this challenge. So the odds were not looking too good for me. My first order of business was actually getting better at the game, because if I didn't, the amount of time it would take for me to complete would be exponentially longer. I had already learned every essential shortcut from Shortcat's shortcut video, say that 10 times fast, but I needed to know more optimal strategies. And that is precisely why I made my Learning the Pro Guide in 1 day video, which is fantastic by the way, go watch it, because I legitimately needed to learn it all in 1 day. I also bought a $90 GameCube controller and its adapter just so I could do all the strategies more consistently, which would hopefully finally even the playing field between me and all the Japanese players that had been destroying my hopes and dreams for the past few months. After recording this video, I could finally hop into some races and officially get the challenge started. I wanted to track the number of races and first places I earned while embarking on this challenge, so I took a screenshot of my online stats before my first race, and they honestly seemed pretty unimpressive. In 2,749 races, I had gotten first place 361 times and ended up on the podium 991 times. This gives me just a 13% win rate and a 36% podium rate. Although I would say it's not too bad for someone who has played casually for most of their Mario Kart career, I hope those percentages will tick up a lot through this challenge. But with that done, it was time to begin the first races. After 30 minutes of warm-up races, I started my first stream bright-eyed and hopeful that I could turn the 76 VR I had just earned into 500 by the night's end and start the challenge off strong. 3 grueling hours later, I was awoken to what this challenge would truly be, a deep plunge into the depths of Mario Kart hell. where every win I got felt as if it was quickly snuffed out by some horrid luck, leaving me right back to where I'd begun. Finishing my very long first day with only 302 VR to show for it, I went to sleep, hoping that day 2 would be where things got back on track. It was not. Most of day 2 was spent writing the script for the Pro Guide video and editing, but I did make sure I got up early enough to get some VR grinding in before all my YouTube stuff. This was my most productive stint of the challenge so far, as I was actually racing very well and was able to reach 534 VR, catching me up to where I should have been the night before. This is where I realized that the law of diminishing returns also applied to Mario Kart, as the longer I would play in a session, the worse my play would become. Any session lasting over an hour became very inefficient, so it's great that most of my streams consisted of non-stop Mario action for hours straight. That's sarcasm, by the way. This law was at its worst on this night, as I played on stream for 2.5 hours with just 102 additional VR to show for it. This was easily the worst I raced on stream the entire challenge, but it did end up with one of the funniest stream moments with the Bowser Castle 3 incident.
Okay. You're joking. You're joking. A 4th! A 5th! A 6th!
After this incident, I turned off my stream for the night and wondered if I was in over my head with this challenge. Day 3 was going to be a huge turning point for the success of this challenge, as I was already behind schedule by nearly 400 VR. Considering what I had planned on my schedule, video and real life wise for the rest of the week, it wasn't going to get any easier either. So I did what any productive human being would do. Woke up early, turned on my Nintendo Switch, and played off and on for 5 hours straight before I did anything productive in my life. I was actually playing very well this day as well, and it actually started to feel like all the skills I had been learning, like soft drifting and motion gliding, were becoming useful in online races. I also started experimenting that day on which servers could prove more beneficial for me to play on, and I actually came to a surprising discovery. For reference, there are 2 different servers in online, worldwide and regional. The benefits to worldwide is that you play with many more players around your VR level, as the player pool is much bigger to choose from, but the lag from playing with Japanese players from across the world can sometimes make the game feel completely unplayable. Now, regional has way less lag problems, but is much harder to fill lobbies with people of your actual skill level. Usually I would play worldwide in videos and streams, but today I tried playing on regionals and I actually loved it. By the time I started my stream, I had gotten up to 1206 VR and had surpassed 15,000 VR overall. After all that grinding, I only needed to grab 300 more VR to be on pace for the first time in the entire challenge. Too bad that Streamlabs had a different idea for how my stream would go that night. My stream actually ended up freezing a couple times, causing me to lose a lot of time, leaving me only with 1,344 VR by the end of the night. However, I felt that day 3 was a massive success and put me back on track to beat this challenge. To start day 4, I wanted to check how my stats were doing throughout the challenge. In just the first 3 days, I had participated in 260 races online. Based on my rough estimates from earlier, I spent roughly 7 hours a day on the Mario Kart online servers, and I hate to admit it, but that seems roughly accurate. On the bright side, I accrued 65 wins in the same time frame, leaving me with a 25% win percentage. This still might not be pro status by any means, but I feel like nearly doubling my old win percentage should be counted as a success. And remember, this challenge isn't just a test of skill, but mainly of endurance. And let me just say, I was about out of mine. But I had begun to figure out a consistent schedule for attacking the challenge. I would start my days with some gameplay, go to the gym because I'm the most jacked Mario Kart player in the world, come back, play some more, eat dinner, edit or record some videos, and then start up my stream. This was my schedule for the rest of my usual days of the challenge, and it was the most optimal way for me to fit in 7 to 8 hours of degenerate Mario Kart gameplay into each of my days without ultimately driving myself away from my friends and family. The pre-stream of day 4 was solid, as I had gotten myself a little over 300 more VR, but I decided it was time to get serious for this day of stream. It was time for me to stop treating like what I was doing was fun and start treating it like a job. This was business time. The stream actually started off really strong, but as each race began to screw me over more and more, I could feel bits of my sanity starting to leave me. And that's what led to this eventual crash out.
No way. There's no way. There's no way. Please mean.
I began to race a little bit better and finished the day with a modest 1857 VR for the challenge. Day 5 marked the challenge's halfway point, and was one of the most mundane days. I did the usual things I would do throughout the day. I recorded a video of me playing as a pacifist in Mario Kart, which actually went really well and helped me gain some VR. Quick little sidebar, most of the videos and challenges I did on stream throughout this challenge drastically hurt my VR, so this actually surprised me. Then I got ready for stream. I gained a little under 400 VR that day and passed my next milestone. 16,000 VR. After passing the halfway point of the challenge, I was sitting just 275 VR behind pace, but I was getting a little frustrated that no matter what, I was always ending up in the same spot every day, feeling like I was continuously playing catch up. So on day 6, I decided to change things up. I realized that my least efficient VR gaining timeframes all fell during while I was streaming, so I just didn't stream that day. I also had a lot of real life stuff to complete that day, but sitting down and spending most of my time grinding the game silently felt so good for my voice and brain. I didn't realize until this moment how much energy streaming multiple hours a day for 5 days straight could take out of you, and although the challenge had been so much fun so far, this day off felt like a giant reset. This relaxing day was actually one of my most beneficial, coming 9 VR within pace and going to bed at 2,991 VR so far. Unfortunately, I could not say the same for days 7 and 8. Each of these days was filled to the brim with activities that did not involve me playing Mario Kart. And whenever I did get to sit down, I spent most of my time editing videos. The only time that I was able to play on both of these days was on stream, and as I just said, these were not very efficient. Day 7 was an extremely bad day on stream. You could even say it was one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Everything sucks. Everybody! Anyway, yeah, it wasn't that good. I got a little over 200 VR in 3 hours of streaming. And then on day 8, I had my buddy come over on stream to prove to my chat that I actually had friends. But all that resulted in was him seeing me get bullied by a bunch of people online, and then me only picking up an additional 170 VR. This put me at a grand total of 600 VR behind pace, and needing to take down 1600 VR over the next 2 days. While this didn't seem impossible to complete, it did seem very, very improbable. If I did not play well, I would need to spend 9 to 10 hours each day just to make it to 5,000 VR. Although I had the time to get this done, would I be able to handle sitting down in this annoying ass chair for that much longer and actually do it? Only 2 days remained to prove myself as the first person to document this impressive feat and go down in Mario Kart history, or as a failure who spent too much time playing Mario Kart over his winter break. So it was time to buckle down and grind out some wins. My start to day 9 was the best I had raced throughout the challenge. I would even go as far to say that I'm actually good at this game now. Before I started recording this early morning session, I had already won 4 races in a row, and I wanted to see how long this win streak could last. Then I won another, and another, and another. I would end up winning 4 more races before the streak finally ended, totaling me at 8. From those 8 races, my VR shot up 160 and set me on a great pace for the day. However, about at the halfway point of day 9, I really started to plateau and started believing this might be the end of the road for me. Hell, I was a little less than 1500 VR away with only 30 hours to go. I began to doom scroll on my phone in shame, and then one fateful text message popped up on the top of my screen. Yeah, it was from my sister. Gross. But the text underneath it stated, "Want to play Mario Kart." For background, my sister got her Switch about 6 months ago and had just gotten herself an online membership, making her brand new to the new online Mario Kart servers. Feeling as if I had nothing to lose, I told her sure and hopped in one of the weirdest looking lobbies I'd ever seen. VRs were scattered all over the place. Half the lobby was under 5,000, whereas some others ranged all the way up to 80,000. This created possibly the best VR farming lobby that I'd ever been in, as my sister and the rest of the crappy players would battle it out in the bottom spots for the entire race, leaving me to compete for the top 3 spots with the VR monsters in the front. I was getting 28 for first, 25 for second, 21 for third, and was consistently getting these placements for an hour before I had to leave the lobby to go to my stream. When it was all said and done, I was at 3,910 VR for the challenge. My dream of beating this challenge might have just been saved, thanks to my sister being so bad at Mario Kart. I told her I was forcing her to play with me again tomorrow and went off to my stream. This stream was going to be much tougher than the others, as I was filming a video where I had to donate to streamers every time I lost. My chat put me through some tough spots during the stream, like making me race with the worst combo and making me race while lying down, but I still ended up acquiring an additional 200 VR before I went offline for the night. That meant with just 1 day left, I would need to pull off the biggest VR day of the entire stretch and gain 900 VR in just 1 day. The final day of the challenge was here, but that also meant the most difficult day was here. I got up super early to make sure I was going to start the day off strong and got myself a quick 200 VR before noon. But I knew I would have to keep pushing if I wanted to have a real shot by the time I turned my stream on. I got into another lobby with my sister and absolutely started crushing it. I know these lobbies were easier than the average worldwide, but I was still holding my own and beating players with 70 and 80,000 VR, which definitely made me feel as if my skills in this game have definitely improved over the course of this challenge. I sat in this lobby for hours, grinding out top 3 spots and consistently winning, earning myself an additional 350 VR. The night before I told my stream I would begin everything a lot sooner, so the stream would end up being very long on the last day. So I left that lobby and went to go eat some dinner before mentally preparing for what was about to go down. I started the stream at 7 PM while sitting at 4,650 VR for the challenge, meaning over the next 5 hours, I would have to earn 350 VR to finish what I had set out to do. Considering that I was able to get 350 VR in just a few hours earlier that day, it should technically be easy, right? Sadly, one more factor would make everything a lot more complicated. My chat. My chat was constantly dishing out punishments throughout my stream. Not to mention, I still had some content left to film for my donating to streamers video. Before I knew it, it was 10 PM and I still had 200 VR to go. This was it, the grand finale. And let me just say, it was gonna need to be quite the buzzer beater if I wanted to finish this challenge as a success. Throwing my pride away, I told my stream I was going into the regional lobbies as I just could not stand the lag and the skill from the Japanese players. I began trekking away, getting 50 VR in a few minutes, then slowing down for 20 or so, then picking it back up again, and then with 15 minutes remaining, I sat at 18,770 VR, leaving me with 30 more to go. I had time for probably 4 races left in the entire challenge, so although I didn't need to come in first every time, only one mistaken bottom spot would put the goal out of my reach. I was off to Cloudtop Cruise, a running track at which I am notoriously bad at. But luckily, I was able to get in the front of the pack early and did not get Mario Karted the entire race, securing myself a second place. I was now sitting at 4,976 VR, and next up was one of my strongest tracks, Daisy Cruiser. This could be it, as with the lobby I was in, a first place would most likely gain me 24 or more VR, but a last place would mean a complete failure of the challenge. By the end of lap 1, I was in 8th place and internally freaking out. Then, at the end of lap 2, I hit this insane green shell snipe that got me right back into the race. One more green shell snipe later, and I had finished in 2nd place again, putting me just 5 VR away from ending this challenge. Boo Lake was the next fateful track that was chosen, a fast and very chaotic track where anything could happen. Once again, last place would end my hopes and dreams, but anything within the top 4 would push me past the finish line. Don't mind my broken mic, but I will let the end of this race speak for itself.
Wow. I nailed her. Wow, I can't believe that's the sentence I say to end my challenge. Really? That's the final sentence I say? That's going on YouTube. What I just said.
I had done it. I had nailed her. Ugh. But slightly more importantly, the gauntlet of the 5,000 VR in 10 days challenge was complete. After an estimated 70 to 80 hours of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe gameplay, I had finished what I had set out to do. And at the moment, I felt that a speech was necessary. After 10 days of grueling Mario Kart action, me, Eskyyt, has gained 5,000 VR in just 10 days. A challenge thought impossible to be done by man, completed by one, average size, not below average size, man. Thanks to the support of his chat, and none of them are annoying whatsoever, he was able to defeat it. Eskyyt out. Now that the challenge was over, I had to tally up my final race stats. The challenge took me 624 races to complete, with me earning first place a grand total of 143 times, giving me a 23% win percentage to finish up the challenge. Considering all the BS I had to deal with throughout the challenge, I am extremely proud with how everything ended up. Now, I know I'm not the first person in the world to complete this feat, and I'm sure many other players could have done it in half the time it took me. But still, I gave myself an objective that seemed nearly impossible at first and was able to complete it. And more importantly, I was able to share a fantastic experience with all the people who came along to support me. As I hope you can see, an insane amount of effort and work was put into making this video, as my editor Hosk and I were pushed to our limits creating this, and it took over a month to fully complete. So if you enjoyed and made it to the end, please like, subscribe, and share this video, because this is what I love doing and want to continue to do it for a long time. With that being said, thank you for coming along on this journey. If you want to be along for the ride the next time I do something like this, please follow me on Twitch as well. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.